Alright guys, we are back for another week and we have got a treat for you. Yes, we're
not for him, for you.
Yeah. He just got his hair did and his nails done yesterday. Don't he look cute? But we are in the bedroom in our camper. It's not that kind of video. Quit thinking that way. But how many of you have upgraded the mattresses in your camper?
And better question, how many of you struggle to hold your mattress up while you're trying to get something out from under because you've upgraded to a thicker mattress?
Yes. So I hope everybody's upgraded their mattresses because most of them from the factory, I know there's some exceptions, most of them from the factory are junk.
Yeah.
So we upgraded to a big old memory foam mattress. It's the same mattress that we use in our house. Mm-hmm. It's a couple inches thinner because we was considerate of the weight, but it's still heavy. Mm-hmm. And so obviously, like most people, we have storage here under the bed. It's stuff that we don't use very often, but when you have to get to it, it's such a pain every time you have to get under the bed. It takes two people. It takes me to hold it up and her to get under there, and you know, and so.
If you've heard of people saying, "I'm not responsible for what I said when backing in the camper," he's not responsible for what he says while holding up the mattress.
Well, I mean, you know, it's just a pain. And so we saw on a couple of different Facebook pages where people had used electric motors, for lack of a better word. I don't know what the right name for it is, but it's like a little shaft that extends out. And it runs off 12 volts. And I'm like,
sold.
That's what I need. So we're going to do that upgrade here in our camper.
Yes.
And that way all we got to do then from then on is whenever she needs under there, she ain't got to holler at me. All she has to do is mash a button. And it'll raise the mattress up. She can get under there. It'll hold it up for as long as she wants it to. And then let it back down. And so the struggles with the mattress is over.
Yes.
Stay tuned. We'll show you what we did. Okay, guys. As far as the wood here, when we went to install this, I knew it would need obviously some reinforcing because, you know, this is just 2x2s here. This thing will, I can't remember how many pounds this thing will push, but it'll push some serious weight. We do have a big mattress. We updated to a memory foam mattress is the reason why we're putting this in the first place, because these weren't strong enough. Yes, I know I could have just probably bought new shocks here and put on and it would help, but what fun's that when you can cut and rewire everything? So I wanted something electric. I'd seen a couple other people do this in other campers and I just loved it. Yeah, it's probably the lazy way, but typically what we store under here we're not getting to all the time, but when we have to get to it, it's not just to hold the mattress up for 2 seconds to get something out. So that's the reason why I wanted to go with this, because even with stronger struts, I was afraid even with a bigger mattress, what we get into now is I end up holding the mattress up here while she's digging under there, and I'm like, hurry up before I drop it. And so that's the reason why I went with the electric thing. So, but I did not want to screw into the floor, obviously. I didn't want to screw into, you know, anything cosmetic that would make it look bad. So I'm a woodworker on the side, and so I had scrap wood out here. So what I did was I took some 1x2s and some 1x4s, and I just made my own set of blocks here. So basically what I did was I took some 1x2s, or actually 1x2s, and I put three of them together and I screwed into the bottom right here. So I'm not screwed into the floor anyway. So if I decide tomorrow I want to take all this out, I can take all this out and there's no damage to the floor, there's no damage to the bed, well, other than the switch maybe, but as far as here, this big stuff here is easy to take out. What I did is I extended this out. I hooked this up to my lawnmower battery so I could extend the shaft once I got it. So I knew how long the reach was. I knew I wanted to mount it up here. I got real lucky, and this bracket here actually mounts on the existing shock bracket. So all I had to do is loosen those two screws up and put that in there, and so that mounted up.
Tell them about having to take one off and don't take them both off.
Yeah, just remember this thing is under pressure here, guys, and so we obviously we had to take our big mattress off so it would hold up on its own. We had to take everything out from under here, but when you go to take these screws off to mount this bracket, just remember this is under pressure, and so just be aware of that. So we removed one screw at a time, put the bracket on, then put the other screw in, and so that way it didn't, you know, eject on out, or, you know, since it is under pressure, you know, just be aware of that. I don't think it would seriously maim you, but it probably wouldn't feel good. But then once we had that in there, then I knew how long the reach was since I had this extended out. So I knew how much I needed to build up here. I needed to come up about 4.5 inches right here. And so again, like I said, I just took scrap wood. I took those 1x2s, screwed them in here, and then I took, and you see it already had a lip right here. So then I was able to take these 1x4s and I screwed them into these 1x2s, not into the bed, and made enough to get the rise that I needed so I get the proper angle here. And so again, if you don't have scrap wood laying around, just go get you, if you can go to Lowe's, Home Depot, or some wood place that sells lumber, framing lumber. You wouldn't even need a whole 2x4. If you could find one that they maybe miscut or something like that, sometimes they'll have remnants out there. You wouldn't need but about a 3-foot piece here to do all this right here with a 1x4 if you wanted to do that. And then you wouldn't have all these other blocks. But this is just what I have in my shop, so that's why we did it that way. And of course, then once we got it lined up here, I found out where the screw holes was here, mounted this bottom bracket here. I actually got lucky, and it works out so it's right up against the 2x4 frame of the bed here, so it gives it a little extra little support too. And then pop the pins in, we're good to go. Alright folks, we're at the wiring part of it. What we did was we drilled a small hole through the edge of the bed right here. We took, actually out there in our wet bay, there is where we have to undo it whenever we winterize. So we undid that just so we can see where all the wires and everything ran. The wet bay comes to about right here. And I didn't want to have the wires to be exposed outside underneath the basement part where the pass through, so I didn't want no boxes or anything like that catching on it. So what it is, I just drilled at an angle, and luckily was able to come out here under where the wet bay is underneath. But then we just run our wire through there. This runs off 12 volts, and so I knew this USB connection here was 12 volts. So we just went under there and got lucky enough that they already had a couple of other lines coming in here tied in to where this tiny wire goes for the USB connections. So I was able just to I just cut their splice and then went in and joined my own, and then put electrical wire caps on there. There's a couple of different kind of connections you can use there. I was originally actually going to use like a wire splice, but these wasn't big enough. The ones I had wasn't big enough, especially those bigger wires. I ended up running this is a 12 gauge wire. You could have went with a 14. When I went down to my local store to pick up this wire, all they had was 12 and 14, so I didn't have a whole lot to pick from. It's probably a little heavier than I needed, but it is what it is. It will work. At least it won't be too small, I know for sure. So anyways, we just unscrewed this USB. I poked those wires through, made the cuts, wired it in there. So now I've got 12 volt coming over here. So what else we still got to do is we still got to take the switch. I don't know what I did with the switch. I'll show it to you here in a little bit. And I think we're going to mount the switch right here. I was originally going to mount the switch up here on this side. I have seen other people actually mount the switch on that side and put this whole unit on that side. The reason why we didn't, there's no 12 volt on that side. Everything's 110, 120, whatever you call it. It's AC, not DC. And so just to keep, why I didn't have to run a whole bunch of wire and try to figure out where to run that wire and all that, we just decided to do it on this side. This switch here is the switch we already showed you in a previous video that goes to our cap lights outside. Normally this switch is underneath the basement part with a pass through, but again at night I always turn it on, get inside, forget I had to turn it off, and then I'd have to put shoes on or whatever, get back out there and turn it back off. So we already made the move for this inside, and so rather than add another switch here, Kimberly decided she would rather have it out here. That way it's not quite as noticeable. It's kind of separate from all these, so you're going to be right here at the foot of the bed anyways anytime you raise up this bed, and so she just thinks it'll be more convenient. So we're going to mount it right there. So we're going to put this back together. I will show you once we get in here and mount the switch, and then of course we'll show you the full operation of it once we get finished. Alright guys, this right here was the worst part. To get to all those wires and everything and to run our wires, we had to take this little section out. It just unscrews, and so it's not a big deal, but we had to empty everything that was underneath down here to get down here to see where the wires needed to be run and what we was going to connect to. Alright guys, we got our switch put in here. We'll show you the other side of what it looks like. All it is it's like a rocker. So you got an up and a down, and when you let go of it, it automatically goes into the neutral position in the middle. There's a wiring diagram when you buy this switch that shows you how to use all the jumpers here, because you see there's several jumpers here. I think there's like 6 different things that stick off the end of it, so you have to use some jumpers depending on which way you want to wire it, because this switch is obviously not made just for this. It's used for a lot of uses. So anyway, so I read that, got all the jumpers hooked up. So now basically you got your red wire, and your black wire, which is obviously your positive and negative, which is coming again from where I showed you a minute ago off of our off of our USB connection, which is 12 volts. So I got them run through here. We'll run these over here. We'll connect these here. I've got some female wire connectors, so it'll plug right into these right here. These little wire ends that they've already got on here. The 2 white ones will actually go to our motor down here for the lift, and it will tie into this. And so I've got to make some cuts here on these wires because they're too long, and get all that tidied up. Put the ends. All I got to do is put 2 ends on that one, 2 ends on that one, plug it in, and then we're ready to go. And so honestly, the hardest part about all of this, honestly, was having to take everything out from under the pass-through to get to the wet bay so that we could get to the wires and run in the wires. Once we did that, everything else is really pretty much straightforward. Alright guys, here's everything once we got everything wired up. You notice we got our little pigtails on there like we was talking about. Everything's plugged in. I actually even took some cord wrap and put that there so it looks nice and neat. Hang around and we'll show you the finished result once we get the mattress and everything back on here and how it works.
Okay guys, we're done. We've got it in. Watch how sweet this is. I just lean over here, hit this button. Mattress goes up all on its own. Look, Ma, no hands. It's up, it's staying as long as I need it.
I did.
It's like magic.
Alright guys, thanks for tuning in. We hope this helps some people. I'll put the link to the switch and the little motor drive thing down in the comments below. This is a cheap deal. I've been watching these parts for months and wanting to do it. I actually got the switch like half price. I got it for like $6 or $7 a few months ago when it went on sale. So if you watch them, you can catch them on sale. And then the drive motor, I think I got on Prime Day on sale. So I think normally the switch is like maybe $8 to $10, and then the motor's like 30 to 40, depending on when you catch it on sale or not.
Worth every penny.
But yeah, you know, 40, 50 bucks. This is done.
Yeah.
Like I say, honestly, it took longer to run the wires and figure out, you know, how to get the wires up to where we needed them to for the 12 volts than it did to do the whole project altogether.
Very true.
I will tell you though, you know how when they ship you this mattress and it's nice and small,
it's compact
and this little
and
box,
vacuumed,
and you put it in here and you think, oh, that's so easy. When it's blown up,
it's not easy.
It's not easy to move. It barely fit through our doorways here. I unfortunately did not film any of that because that would have been a great gag reel. But just take my word for it. When you go to move these after you put them in here and they've swollen up, it's
not easy.
It's a different story. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. If you hadn't already, please subscribe. We're trying to get our numbers up, and hit the thumbs up, and because that helps gets it out to other people. And then if there's any details, because like I said, I didn't show every detail of us doing every little thing in this, and because I feel like sometimes people get bored and they just kind of want to get the gist of it and see the results.
Right.
But again, if you have any questions, please send me a comment. We keep our comments so they come straight to our phone. So if you have any questions about how to wire the switch or what we did to do this or that, shoot me a comment. I'll be glad to help walk you through it and guide you through it, and we can talk back and forth. We could even FaceTime or something like that if we had to get you through it. So.
Well, and we love the interaction. We love talking to you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So until next time.
See you next week.
You want up here with us, dude? Come here.
And you tell me you can't jump on our bed.
Turn around for the camera.